Welcome to another episode of the Biscuit Boardroom. My name is Jake, and in today's episode, have you ever asked yourself this particular question? Does laws make freedom? The antithesis of what freedom is. Now, I've been thinking about this particular question for a while, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on this because nowadays, so many issues have been coming up about laws, about what freedom is, about what really we stand for as a nation, as people. So, without wasting much of your time, let's grab some water and let's talk about this. Now, my fellow citizens of this world, today we do not merely confront an idea, but actually we are confronted with a contradiction embedded in the very structure of our civilization. Now, let me begin not with what is, but with what we believe as a nation or as people. We believe in freedom. Freedom, that golden ideal, etched into constitutions, echoed in revolutions, and sung in national anthems of most nations in this world. Yet, despite this near universal reverence for liberty, the question remains buried like a riddle beneath centuries of laws and legal systems. Now, can freedom truly coexist with the law? I mean, can something forged in regulation flourish in liberty? Now, I stand here not to kind of like recite anything, but I'm here to challenge assumption. Not to comfort you with certainty, but to awaken your curiosity, your civic soul, your civic rights to an uncomfortable possibility that the very laws we create to protect freedom may be the very chains that bind it. Now, let us consider the essence of law. Now, law is, in its purest form, the codification of control. It is the drawing of boundaries, the issuing of commands, the imposition of order. Law says you may go this far and no further. It tells us when to speak, where to walk, what to ingest, who to marry and who not to marry, when to protest. Now, contrast that with the essence of freedom, the right to act without restraint, to choose your own path, to err, to explore, to exist, undefended by permission. These two forces, law and freedom, are not allies. They are ancient rivals, masked with companions. You know what? What a break. Now, let's look at the historical reflection of this particular segment so far. Now, consider the act of human governance. I will use the Magna Carta of 1215, which says it hailed as the birth of liberty. But was it truly a treaty written not for the common man, but for barons who sought to limit the king's power in favor of their own? Law was not born from liberty. It was actually born from struggle. The U.S. Constitution, for instance, another beacon of democratic light, was a revolutionary act, not of absolute freedom, but of a structured compromise. It enshrined rights, yes, but it also shackled generations under laws that for decades sanctioned slavery, segregation, and the silencing of women. What a break. Now, if laws made freedom, we will all be free by now, right? I kind of like wanted to, going through that, let's look at the philosophical deep dive of what I'm trying to say. We must distinguish between liberty of spirit and license of state. A child does not learn, I'm going to give you some instances here. A child does not learn freedom from rule books. A soul does not sour in the presence of red tape. Freedom is not actually granted. It is claimed. You claim freedom. It is not protected by law. It is policed by it. Now, Rossi once wrote, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains." Now, those chains are not always of steel. They are of statutes, codes, regulations. This is kind of like another invisible, accepted, even celebrated. We have made the tragic error of believing that to regulate freedom is to safeguard it. But regulation is not actually salvation. It is sedation. It is actually sedation. Now, if we really want to think forward into the future, like calling for the future version of all this, or the vision of this, where do we go from here? I mean, I do not suggest anarchy. I do not reject all laws, but I do propose that we reassess the balance. The law must never be mistaken for liberty, and freedom must never be reduced to a checklist of permission. Let us craft a future where law serves freedom, not stifles it. Where law is not the architect of liberty, but it humbles custodian. Now, I know I've said a couple of things here. What a break. Now, the rights of man comes not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. This statement was made by John F. Kennedy. We, as people, as humans, must remember that freedom is not what the law allows. It is what the law cannot take away. Let us not be content to live as free people on paper, while in practice we tiptoe through the mazes of legal permission. Let us be bold. Let us be vigilant. And above all, let us be free. We all need to be free. We all need to be free. Thank you so much for listening to the Biscuit Boardroom, where I had questions I begged instead of hard. I am your host, Jake, and today I didn't just ask what freedom is. I asked what freedom is not. Until next time, stay awake, stay bold, stay free, and this is the Biscuit Boardroom.